Azure Web Apps provide a robust platform for hosting web applications, APIs, and mobile backends. They offer a range of features including automatic scaling, high availability, and a variety of deployment options. This presentation will delve into configuring web app settings, focusing on transport layer security, TLS, API settings, and connection strings. Understanding these configurations is crucial for ensuring the security, performance, and reliability of your web applications. Security is a paramount concern when developing web applications. Configuring settings such as TLS ensures that data transmitted between the client and server is encrypted, protecting it from interception and tampering. Additionally, properly managing API settings and connection strings helps safeguard sensitive information and maintain the integrity of your application. This section will explore the importance of these configurations and their impact on your web app's security. Transport Layer Security, TLS, is a cryptographic protocol designed to provide secure communication over a computer network. It ensures that data sent between the client and server is encrypted and cannot be easily intercepted or tampered with. In Azure Web Apps, configuring TLS is essential for protecting sensitive data and maintaining user trust. This section will cover the basics of TLS, its importance, and how to configure it in your Azure Web App. To configure TLS in Azure Web Apps, you need to obtain an SSL TLS certificate from a Trusted Certificate Authority, CA. Once you have the certificate, you can upload it to your Azure Web App and bind it to your custom domain. Azure provides a user-friendly interface for managing certificates and configuring TLS settings. This section will provide a step-by-step guide on how to configure TLS, including obtaining a certificate, uploading it to Azure, and binding it to your web app. APIs are a crucial component of modern web applications, enabling communication between different services and systems. Properly configuring API settings is essential for ensuring secure and efficient communication. This section will provide an overview of API settings in Azure Web Apps, including authentication, authorization, and rate limiting. Understanding these settings will help you protect your APIs from unauthorized access and ensure they perform optimally. Authentication is the process of verifying the identity of a user or system. In Azure Web Apps, you can configure API authentication using various methods such as OAuth, API keys, and Azure Active Directory, AAD. Each method has its own advantages and use cases. This section will explore different authentication methods, their benefits, and how to configure them in your Azure Web App to ensure secure access to your APIs. Authorization determines what an authenticated user or system is allowed to do. In Azure Web Apps, you can implement API authorization using role-based access control, RBAC, and claims-based authorization. These methods allow you to define fine-grained access controls and ensure that users can only perform actions they are permitted to. This section will cover the principles of API authorization and provide guidance on implementing it in your Azure Web App. Rate limiting and throttling are techniques used to control the number of requests a client can make to an API within a specified time period. These techniques help prevent abuse, ensure fair usage, and protect your API from being overwhelmed by excessive requests. Azure Web Apps provide built-in support for rate limiting and throttling. This section will explain the importance of these techniques and how to configure them in your Azure Web App. Connection strings are used to connect your web app to external resources such as databases, storage accounts, and service buses. Properly managing connection strings is crucial for ensuring secure and reliable connections. This section will provide an overview of connection strings in Azure Web Apps, including their format, common use cases, and best practices for managing them. Understanding connection strings will help you maintain secure and efficient connections to your external resources. To configure connection strings in Azure Web Apps, you need to define them in the app settings. Azure provides a secure way to store and manage connection strings, ensuring they are not exposed in your code. This section will provide a step-by-step guide on how to configure connection strings in your Azure Web App, including defining them in the app settings, accessing them in your code, and best practices for managing them securely. Ensuring the security of your web app involves following best practices for configuring TLS, API settings, and connection strings. This includes regularly updating your TLS certificates, using strong authentication and authorization methods, and securely managing connection strings. This section will summarize the best practices for secure configurations in Azure Web Apps, helping you maintain a secure and reliable application. Monitoring and troubleshooting are essential for maintaining the health and performance of your web app. Azure provides various tools and services for monitoring your web app's performance, security, and usage. This section will cover the key monitoring and troubleshooting tools available in Azure, including Application Insights, Azure Monitor, and diagnostic logs. Understanding these tools will help you proactively identify and resolve issues, ensuring your web app runs smoothly. Configuring web app settings in Azure, including TLS, API settings, and connection strings, is crucial for ensuring the security, performance, and reliability of your application. By following the best practices and guidelines outlined in this presentation, you can protect your web app from security threats and ensure it performs optimally. The next steps involve applying these configurations to your web app and continuously monitoring and updating them to maintain a secure and reliable application.